Welcome. This is the third part of the introduction to Jewish conversion, and here we're going to talk about the greatness of a convert. So Israel is likened to a flock of sheep. So here we have three passages, and if you want to look it up, there's way more passages. I put them over here if you want to take a look, just to show how often Israel is compared to sheep. This is from Isaiah 40. As a shepherd, his flock is herded to feed. In his arm, the lambs are gathered, carried in his bosom, and shall be led and elevated. Here's another one. God is my shepherd, I shall not be lacking, from Psalms. Another one from Psalms. You guided your people like sheep through the hands of Moses and Aaron. So Israel is not only sheep, but it's also shepherds. Abel was a shepherd. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Israel came to Egypt as shepherds, which Egypt itself worshipped the ram, so it was actually quite offensive to them. Moses was a shepherd. Amos was a shepherd, and David was a shepherd, among many others. King David. So Israel's leaders are likened to shepherds, God is likened to a shepherd, and Israel are likened to sheep. So let's talk about selective breeding. So all of the dogs we see here at the bottom came from three original canines. And it's possible to breed things into whatever you want. You can select for traits. You can make dogs guard dogs. You can make dogs lap dogs. You can make sheep dogs. So we also know that Jacob was a master breeder. So in Genesis 30, Jacob makes a deal with Lavan, his father-in-law, and his cousin. Jacob will split Lavan's flock and take the spotted, dark, and speckled for himself when he leaves. So they were trying to breed this out of the flock anyways. These are the less desirable ones. The pure colored ones were more desirable anyways. And there weren't that many. So Lavan agrees. So what Jacob does is he breeds the flock so that the spotted ones become more numerous and stronger, and so that the desired ones become less numerous and weaker. So he pulls a little bait and switch on Lavan, and he gets all of the strength out of the flock. And he accomplishes this by exchanging sheep back and forth between two flocks. He separates the flock into two, and by using these two flocks, he can put all of the negative traits that he doesn't want, which is the weakness and the pure color, and he puts all of the traits he does want into the other flock, which is the strength and the spots and the stripes. So I won't go into it here, but many, if not most, of the commandments also serve as a selective breeding mechanism. So this is true of any society and any civilization. There is a selective breeding mechanism within that civilization, which gives the civilizations their traits and their character. And so the Torah itself, it's not giving an American character. It's not giving a German character. It's given a Jewish character. And selective breeding for the Jewish people is different from the selective breeding for the rest of the people. So immigration, conversion, serves to bring these quote unquote stronger sheep into the flock and strengthen the herd. But the strength of the convert is a spiritual strength, not a physical one. The strength of the convert will go to waste in the other nations. And quite the opposite, it will contribute a great deal to the Jewish nation. So in terms of the selective breeding, the ones who do actually want to convert and are able to keep the 613 commandments are actually strengthening Israel, are actually bringing us a great deal of strength. They're actually very desired. We actually really want converts. But if your purpose is not to be here in Israel, if your purpose is to elevate your own nation, then we want you to stay there. As an aside, the priests in Israel also act as a separate flock from Israel. The priests are separated from Israel. They can't marry converts, they can't marry immigrants, but only immigrants who have had children within Israel. So they can marry the children of immigrants, but not immigrants themselves. We are selectively breeding them differently from the rest of Israel. Here we're told that we know what it is to be a convert. When we're told to love the convert, this is in Leviticus 19. If an immigrant will dwell with you in your land, do not afflict him. He shall be to you as a citizen from you, as if he came from you, not as if he came from somewhere else. He came from you, the immigrant that inhabits with you, and love him as yourself. For you were immigrants in Egypt, and I am Hashem your God. I am God. So the word Egypt literally means narrow or suffering, and it can also refer to exile. So the Jews also lived in exile and know very well what it is to be a stranger in a strange land, an immigrant that is afflicted by the local people and nation. So we know that, and we know that we have to be different to the immigrants and appreciate them as one of us, accept them as one of us. So the Jewish nation is literally born of a convert. Just as Abraham served as a blessing to the nations, converts serve as a blessing to Israel. Converts originate from the low state of the world and elevate themselves out of it, making darkness into light. This is the essence of the Jewish mission, to elevate the mundane to holiness. Converts are called the son or daughter of Abraham because of this. So in the ancient world, there weren't last names. You would call yourself by who your parents were. So when a Jew gets called to the Torah, they say your name and son of. And when a convert is called to the Torah, we say their name and that they're the son of Abraham. So their merit is Abraham's merit. Another convert is Jethro, Yitro, and he was the first convert to the nation of Israel. Yitro, the priest of Midian and father-in-law to Moses, heard about everything that God did for Moses and his people Israel as Hashem took Israel from Egypt. It was then that I knew that Hashem is greater than all gods because of the destruction he brought upon them. So Jethro was Moses' father-in-law. He was the leader of Midian, and he helped Moses create a hierarchy within Israel. So without Jethro, we wouldn't have a hierarchy within the Jewish people to help Moses lead. So I won't get into it now, but the Maharal of Prague explains how the 10 plagues are a calculated proof for Pharaoh in Egypt, that God is all-powerful and that everything is under his dominion. Jethro saw this proof and converted. And Pharaoh said, "Who is God that I should hear his voice and send forth Israel? I do not acknowledge God. Also, I shall not send forth Israel." Moses comes to Pharaoh as if it's a request. This isn't a request. It's a command. So Pharaoh thinks he's more powerful than God. So what does God answer in Exodus 7? Egypt shall know that I am God when I cast my hand upon Egypt and extract the children of Israel from their midst. God's hand is how we refer to the plagues of Egypt. And so when God proved to Pharaoh and the people of Egypt that he is God, he also proved it to Jethro. And this is why Jethro converted, because he saw the proof for God. So let's talk about Jethro's contribution in Exodus 18. So Moses was overwhelmed by his duties and obligations. So Jethro advised and helped Moses to set up a hierarchy to help him to delegate his responsibilities. It is here that we learn about how Gerim, the converts, have an outside perspective that can help Israel to see itself better. We also learn through the Zohar and other midrashim about how Jethro was able to transform negative traits into positive ones. Every convert comes from a place of spiritual impurity and were able to elevate themselves to a place of holiness. They were able to free themselves on their own from the rest of the nations and come to Israel. So Ruth is actually the greatest of converts. Ruth was from one of the most impure of all nations, Moab, which literally means from father, because the nation was born when Lot had a child with one of his daughters. In the end, she was able to help rectify the sin of Judah, which is where the Jews get their name from. She was the grandmother of King David and great-grandmother of King Solomon, who built the first temple in Jerusalem and established Israel into an age of peace. The book of Ruth is read every Shavuot, which is the holiday where Israel received the Torah, and the date where we finish our 49 days of purifying our negative character traits. In the last chapter of the book of Proverbs, her great-grandson, King Solomon, writes a parallel to her life, praising her, and it is known today as Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor, and is sung every Shabbat. She has served as the template for a Jewish woman and all Jewish converts ever since. In order to understand what a convert is, we just need to know what the formula is, what conversion actually is. So Naomi was mourning the loss of her 2 sons. Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law has returned to her people. She's gone back to her nation and to her God. Return after your sister-in-law." And what does Ruth say? "Do not injure me to leave you, and return from your path. For wherever you go, I shall go. Wherever you rest, I shall rest. Your people are my people, and your God is my God. Where you shall die, I will die, and be buried. Whatever God does to me, and regardless of what he adds, for only death will separate between us, from me and from you." So Ruth has cast herself as a member of the people. She says, your people are my people, your God is my God. In that order. First of all, accepting the people and becoming a member of the people. And second of all, accepting God. Just in summary, this is a brief overview into understanding the overall themes associated with Jewish conversion. There's a lot more here that we didn't completely flesh out, but all this in order to understand and complete the commandment of you shall love the immigrant, for you were immigrants in Egypt. When Israel was in Egypt, they brought blessings, prosperity, and the rise of an empire. It's very easy to discriminate against the immigrants and ignore the blessings that they bring. We therefore have a commandment to remind us to love the immigrant. We are blessed and should be grateful for each one of them. If you are an immigrant, we are blessed to have you too. Welcome.